Hi there and welcome. I need to go into some medical terms, especially at this period of the pandemic called coronavirus or COVID-19, SARS, COV2. Which one is really which? Is coronavirus the same thing as COVID-19? What is SARS-CoV-2? We need to explain what viruses are. And are viruses the same thing as bacteria? Are they germs? And what are the causes? What are the main causes of us going through all these pandemics and epidemics in the world? Because it's not the first time. But mind you, let me just give you a warning here. I am not a medical doctor. I'm not from the medical profession. I'm not a virologist. My friends call me veteran broadcast journalist. I don't know if veteran means another qualification or another feather to my cap. I'm Prince Larry Adegu, and my friends call me KBSC. Let's do it the layman's way so that you can understand it the way I eventually understood it when I did my research as a journalist, so that you can share from it. Enjoy. What is coronavirus? Coronavirus is best explained in plural term. Coronaviruses are a group of diverse viruses that cause things like common cold to deadly diseases like the coronavirus we are fighting at the moment. Let me explain further. Coronavirus is like a family name of some viruses. My surname is Adegun, so let's assume Adegun coronavirus. So my father has many children. Every time the child comes to the world, he comes with his own kind of character. So, and when a new child comes around, we don't know what character he or she will bring along when he's just born. And then as he grows or as he comes into the world and becomes part of the world, we start knowing that, this is the kind of person he is. It's similar in a way to coronavirus. I'm just trying to give it a layman's definition, or a description. I would say coronavirus is like the family name, and there are so many viruses that have come out of that family. Not until they come out as nouveau, that we start looking to see how do we fight it? That's why there's this problem about we haven't got a vaccine for it. No, vaccine cannot be ready. Coronavirus is likened to a family name, and then that precedes all of those viruses that are coronavirus's children. Coronavirus family usually has like an identity. They always affect the respiratory system. They all come with symptoms similar to flu. Though of the same family, the new disease is unique in the way it can be treated. Not until it has caused its havoc that it can now be studied to know what vaccine will counter its effect on us. Coronavirus-related diseases have the trademark of giving infected people serious respiratory complications coupled with fever, cough, and shortness of breath. I think it's like a double-barreled name, but coronavirus. What is corona? Corona is a Latin word that simply means crown. And coronavirus has derived its name, or it's been given that name because of its look, because of those spikes that come out from the virus when you look at it from inside the microscope. I think that's what they see. They see these spikes, which makes it look like a crown. Then let's go to virus. This virus, we've done corona, let's do virus. Viruses can usually not be seen with the naked eyes, but with the aid of a magnifier like a microscope. They attack living cells in animals or humans to reproduce and multiply. Viruses are classified as non-living things. Why? Because scientists claim a virus does not offer any characteristics of life. They've been classified as non-living things because they have like some categories and things that are looked at to classify something as living or non-living scientifically. And in the case of viruses, they don't offer those characteristics of life. This has been a subject of controversy since 1898, when viruses was first given that name. The argument is based on what is considered living or non-living. To consider anything as living, the answers to the following three questions, amongst other questions, must be yes. 1. Can it replicate biologically? That is, can it give birth? Can it multiply by cellular division? And does it go through metabolism? The answers to these three questions when it comes to viruses are no. Therefore, a virus is classified as non-living thing because of this. Now let's talk about, is coronavirus the same thing? Are we talking about the same thing when we say coronavirus and COVID-19? What do you think? Listen to this. In one sentence, COVID-19 is a viral disease caused by a member of the coronavirus family called SARS-CoV-2. That is SARS-CoV-2. It was in early 2020, after the China outbreak, that the World Health Organization, WHO, concluded the identification of SARS-CoV-2 as a new type of coronavirus. COVID-19 is a member of the coronavirus family. Like I was describing to you, that I'm Larry, so I can be like COVID-19. So I'm Larry, and coronavirus is my father's name. So COVID-19 is a member of the coronavirus family. It is an acronym from the words Coronavirus 2019. That is the C and O from coronavirus, then VI from virus, and then D for disease, dash 19 indicating the year it was discovered or that it emerged. Hence the acronym COVID-19. This new coronavirus that causes COVID-19 is referred to as SARS-CoV-2. The figure 2 differentiates it from SARS-CoV-1, which occurred in China in 2002/2003. They are related genetically, that is by nature, but from the same family, coronavirus, but they are not the same disease. They are different diseases. Unlike before, that they name things after like Spanish influenza. They name it after like a place, a region, or a country, or a person. It has now been agreed by the World Health Organization and some other relevant international organizations that the names of diseases would henceforth not refer to its place of origin, an animal, individual, or race. This at least minimizes stigmatizing. When COVID-19 just came into prominence, it was initially known as a novel strain of the coronavirus family. Scientists then named it 2019-nCoV, indicating its year of showing up, with the N indicating the virus as new or novel, and CoV as its family name, coronavirus. It has developed from an epidemic that is widespread to a specific area to a pandemic. that is worldwide. So that's the difference. Epidemic is restricted to some specific area, while pandemic means it's now worldwide. Studies confirm that SARS-CoV-2 stay on different surfaces for different periods of time before it becomes harmless if it does not get into contact with a human cell to live on and multiply. Coronavirus is highly contagious and has a high transmission rate, ranging from, during my search, ranging from between 2 to as high as 6.6 other people. That is, if one person has it, it can infect or transmit it to other 2 people or as high as 6.6 other people. This is very high compared to flu, range of 1.1 to 2.3 people. There are many other families similar to coronavirus, like rotavirus, norovirus, and so on and so forth. For example, Marburg and Ebola viruses are of the same family called filovirus. We won't go into that today. It is also confirmed that MERS and SARS began through zoonosis. So also did COVID-19. I hear you ask, what's zoonosis? Anyway, right, okay, I'll tell you what it is. What are zoonotic diseases? Zoonotic diseases are simply diseases that are transmitted from animals to humans. It is even estimated that the newly emerging diseases of the world these days, about 75% of them, or novel infections, are diseases in humans that are from animals. Coronaviruses are zoonotic. SARS-CoV-2 is no exception. Hence the claim that it originated from a wet market in Wuhan, China, an open market for fresh meat and fish, where animals are killed on the spot. It is common for some wet markets to sell such animals as snakes, monkeys, dogs, bats, civets, pangolins, and so on and so forth for human consumption. As such markets can be very busy and crowded, viruses and other infectious diseases readily get transmitted to people. At Wuhan, China, the confirmed source of the present pandemic coronavirus, that is COVID-19, animals such as bats and civets are sold. Some areas of Asia consume such animals and use parts of these animals for medicinal purposes. It has been proved that COVID-19 has been found in one of the animals, the pangolin, the same trait, the same thing, like the COVID-19 that we are now struggling with at the moment. Coronaviruses are not new. The first one was discovered in the 1960s, and listen to this, almost every human gets coronavirus infection at least one time in their life. As said earlier, you may not even realize that you've contracted coronavirus, as it can show up as just mere cold, cough, or something like that, or fever. There have been 2 terrible outbreaks of viruses from within the coronavirus family before COVID-19. Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, simply called MERS, first announced in Saudi Arabia in 2012, is not as contagious as its family member SARS, but more lethal, as it could cause kidney failure as well. It killed about 858 people. The second one, SARS, originated in China in 2002. It spread to over 20 countries, infected more than 8,000 people, and killed 774. So far, scientists have identified 7 different types of coronaviruses which can infect humans. Animals serve many purposes to we humans, such as being a means of livelihood through food, transport, keeping our company, sport, and we keep them as pets too. We cannot do without coming into contact with them. People can readily contact zoonotic diseases in one form or another through infected animals, maybe by direct contact, that is playing with them or their saliva, the blood, urine, and feces, through touching, through bites or scratches. By indirect contact in areas where such animals have been. By vector-borne, that is through bites, like mosquito bites, for example. Foodborne, through consuming contaminated food or one that is not properly cooked, for example. Waterborne, through drinking or coming in contact with water that has been contaminated with an infected animal. One other question that I tried to understand, but which eventually I've been able to do through research, is this question. Do you think a virus is the same thing as a bacterium? That is, a virus is bacteria. Even though their symptoms are similar in some ways at times, viruses are not the same as bacteria. The main difference include the fact that viruses are much smaller than bacteria in size. Bacteria may be treated with antibiotics, but viruses cannot. Antibiotics do not work on viruses. Examples are HIV, Ebola, and COVID-19. You cannot use antibiotics to get rid of these viruses. Bacteria can reproduce on their own, while viruses are not able to reproduce except through an infected human whose organism they attack and feed on to multiply and eventually take over the space from their host organism. Except you belong in virology and the medical profession in general, anytime we hear about virus or the word virus, we think of something very deadly. But listen to this. Not all viruses are bad, Some are lifesavers. Some protect us against infections. Bad viruses not only affect the respiratory systems, there are others that even infect the organs, including the brain and our skin. We've been hearing about self-isolation, quarantine, lockdown, and so on and so forth. Let's break this down and give it a layman's definition. Self-isolation, as the name implies, is when someone feels ill and is put in a room away from the others within probably a family or a household, so that it doesn't infect the others. Quarantine is when the movement of a person has been restricted due to the fact that that person may have been exposed to a transmissible disease. A lockdown is a situation which arises where an authority like the governments are doing at the moment are telling us to restrict our movement due to some kind of emergency. In this instance, the coronavirus COVID-19 emergency is an emergency. They've asked us to stay indoors so that we are not infected. It minimizes the indiscriminate spreading of COVID-19. What is social distancing? Social distancing is about keeping a safe distance from each other, so that we do not infect each other with a disease. This usually applies to places outside, and that is why You don't go to places where there is a crowd, like church, mosque, park. You avoid gatherings. And when you are in a queue, maybe going in the post office, you have like spaces in between each other. That is social distancing. This question: will there be more viruses attacking us in the future? The simple answer is yes, I'm afraid. This is not the first time viruses will rear their ugly heads and attack us. And it is surely not the last time. As long as we continue to have things to do with animals, there will always be zoonotic diseases. But with scientific advancements, the viruses may be better or easily contained or curtailed before causing irreparable damages which have been synonymous with the trace they leave behind. The worst case of virus attack to date was the one named Influenza, which attacked in 1918 to 1920, and that was during the war. It claimed an estimated 50 to 100 million lives in 18 months. Yes, you heard me right. From my research, there was no authentic organization or source that I went to that was able to put a specific number. The average had been between 50 to 100 million people died through that. It is considered the worst in modern history. Now you've heard it, and did you gain anything from that? I hope you did. Thank you very much. It's Prince Larry Adego, KBSC.